What is going on, beautiful people? Jacob here, Miami Dolphins Syndicate. Monday, we were supposed to have a live stream. Technical difficulties, that didn't happen. Might happen later on this week, might happen next week. We'll see what happens. But here instead, you got me today. And a few weeks ago, we talked about Tua's expectations for the season, and we're going to be covering a few players on the Dolphins as for their expectations for this upcoming season. The guy I want to focus on today is Devon Achane. Devon Achane is one of the biggest question marks for what his career is going to look like, I think, when you look at the Miami Dolphins. Incredibly explosive player in Devon Achane with the Dolphins. You look at just yards per touch amongst NFL running backs. He was second in the league, only behind Keaton Mitchell at 6.2 yards per touch. That's both catches out of the backfield, running rushes out of the backfield for Devon Achane. Explosive player. You look at his rookie season, and you're seeing on 103 attempts out of the backfield, 800 yards, 8 touchdowns in the receiving game, a further 27 catches and 197 yards. Without a doubt, Devon Achane is one of the most explosive players in the league. And with the ball in his hands, in space, he can do anything with the ball. And we saw that last year on display in his rookie year. And I imagine just going into your sophomore year, just naturally, you'll be even more, you get more out of him than we did last year. However, I do have my concerns about if you'll ever really amount to the number one running back on the Dolphins. I think still this year it's going to be Raheem Mostert as the 1A and Devon Achane as the 1B. And Devon Achane, by all means, has the talent and the ability to be, just numbers-wise, a workhorse running back. But I don't know if he quite has the body, the physicality, and the durability to truly be a workhorse for the Dolphins. To be a workhorse as a running back, what does that define? In my opinion, you're looking at least 250 touches per season as a running back and staying healthy for majority of the season. If you miss a game or two, it happens. Devon Achane last year, 11 games played. First 2 games he virtually didn't play, but if you average out 103 rushes and then the additional 27 catches, you're looking at about 11 touches per game. Whereas if you look at 250 touches over a 17-game season, you're looking closer to 15 touches per game. And that's when you get into the category of the Derrick Henrys, the Christian McCaffreys, Jonathan Taylor, Breece Halls, the upper echelons of running backs that they can handle a full workload season in, season out. And I do have my question marks as to whether that will be what Devon Achane eventually ends up being for the Miami Dolphins, and that is because we already have seen the injuries start to stack up for Devon Achane. We saw him in preseason with the shoulder injury, with the AC joint sprain that took him out of the second preseason game, and then held him out of the third preseason game. Didn't play at all week 1. Week 2 he came in, and actually week 2 was when that knee injury first flared up, apparently, just according to what I got here. And then obviously down the road, he goes on IR with the knee injury, comes back in the Raiders game, has to be taken out yet again because of the knee injury. So we're looking at multiple injuries with Devon Achane. And when you look at his body type, you're looking at 5'9", you're looking 190 pounds. Guys at that size are typically not built to withstand a full workhorse workload. You look at the guy above him in yards per touch amongst running backs, Keaton Mitchell, you're looking at a very similar build with Keaton Mitchell, around 5'9", 5'10", 180 to 190 pounds. You're looking at guys that are small in stature but are extremely explosive and can hit a hole, can take advantage to open space on the outside. However, we saw both of them sustain serious injuries, and Keaton Mitchell's, in fact, was even more severe, being taken out for the entire season. So that certainly does concern me when it comes to Devon Achane in terms of, will he ever be the 1A standalone by himself, just the pure one? I'm not sure if he'll ever do that. 5'9", 190 pounds. You look at across the league, Derrick Henry, 6'3", 240. Obviously, he's an anomaly. But then you get to the Jonathan Taylors, you get to the Saquon Barkleys, you get to Breece Hall. They're all around the 6 foot, 200 to 220 range. Can put on some muscle. Devon Achane doesn't have the frame to put on the muscle. However, that's more looking forward beyond this year. If he's without Raheem Mostert, if he's without another guy alongside him to get the 1A carries, I don't think he can quite be that 1A guy. However, if he's not asked to be the 1A guy, if he's just asked to be the 1B and he's just asked to be that complementary piece, that second guy, that 12th starter, if you will, which is what he was last year for the Miami Dolphins. If you ask him to be a utility guy that can work to catch out of the backfield, that you can line up in the slot, that you can line up all around the field and strike fear in opposing teams' defenses because you don't know what he's going to do. If he's just asked to play the role he did last year, except hopefully over a longer stretch and hopefully over a healthier stretch, he is one of the most dangerous weapons, not just on the Dolphins, because we know what the Dolphins have in terms of Tyreek Hill, in terms of Jalen Waddle, in terms of their backfield with Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, then expanding now, bringing in Jonnu Smith, bringing in Odell Beckham. Not just the most dangerous on the team, amongst the most dangerous players in the NFL when he gets his hands on the ball. He just has to be able to stay on the field. And if he's being asked to pick up 220 carries and combine that with 50 catches like the likes of CMC, like the likes of Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor are doing, I do question whether his body is built to be able to do that on a year in, year out basis. If you keep him closer to, if you look at the 103 yard or 103 carries that he had in 11 games, you bring that up to 150 carries and you take the 27 catches and you bring him up to 55 catches, you're just pushing a little over 200 touches per season. And if you look at the yards per carry, which is at 7.8, if you're looking at the yards per catch, which is at 7.3, if that's the case, I don't even really know how he's listed here as 6.1 yards per touch, but whatever. I'm going based off the stats I have here on different websites. Sue me. If you're constantly around that 7 yard per touch average, both in the receiving game, both in the rushing game, then you are one of the best pieces in the NFL. You're one of the most versatile pieces in the NFL. And if you have that as one of your better complementary players instead of as your sole focus player, which allows Devon Achane to preserve his body and be on the field longer for the Dolphins, I think that's the best role for him. He doesn't have to be the 1A. He doesn't have to carry the load of the brunts. He doesn't have to be the first down, second down guy. He can be the third down guy in the rushing game, and he can be out there on those other downs, line him up in the slot, line him up in the pistol formation, line him up in the backfield with Raheem Mostert, line him up all over the field, even just as maybe a decoy where you don't go to him as your number one option. But when you have Tyreek Hill, when you have Jalen Waddle, when you have Raheem Mostert in the backfield with him, he can just be that extremely talented weapon for this Miami Dolphins team, and that can be that. I don't think that he has to step up to the workhorse role, and I don't think that's what he's going to be this season. We got Raheem Mostert under contract for 2 more years, and Raheem, 5'10", closer to 200 pounds, is more in tune with that build. You look at the average running back. Average running back in the NFL is just under 6 foot and is just under about 210 pounds. You're looking at most NFL running backs around 5'11", 205 pounds. That's more in line with what Raheem Mostert is. A little bit leaner, however, 5'10", 195, 200 pounds where Raheem Mostert usually plays at. That's close enough. If you can have him in as the number 1 guy and then the goal line back, first and second down back, and then Devon Achane is more of a third down back and just a utility weapon across the field, I actually think that's the best way to get the best out of Devon Achane. You're preserving him to be active and able to be one of the key contributors later on in the season. You're not worried about him going down on a random Sunday, in like week 11 like he did last year against the Raiders. You're just using him for the weapon he can be. You're not going to get the maximum out of him like you would out of a Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry and a Saquon Barkley and even Isaiah Pacheco as of recently, a younger guy that's stepped up to the plate. But he doesn't have to be that. The Miami Dolphins have clearly made an effort to bring in as much talent in the offense as possible. So Devon Achane can just be another guy in that offense that has a really high ceiling. However, maybe his floor isn't the highest. And if that's what he is, that's what his career is. If he has 7 years on the Dolphins where you're looking at 7 yards per touch, maybe he misses time because of his stature and just because he has a knack for picking up injuries. However, if you're looking at a 7 yard per touch guy that can pick up 8 rushing touchdowns, an additional 3 through the air, so you're looking at double-digit touchdowns, 7 yards per touch, you're not going to get 200 to 250 carries from him, but if he's just that, that's perfectly okay with me. If he ends up playing this year and has 15 games played and you're looking around 1,000 yards on the ground and an additional 400 to 500 through the air, and he doesn't lead the team in any of the categories. He doesn't lead the team in rushing touchdowns, receiving touchdowns. He doesn't lead the team in carries and catches. If he just is a efficient guy in the offense and can bust out an explosive run every now and then, bust out a 60-yard touchdown, which he's more than capable of doing, perfectly content with me. Let me know your thoughts about Devon Achane and what you think his role will/should be down below in the comments. Do you have concerns like I do about his injuries? We've already seen the injuries he's picked up, and 5'9", 188 pounds is not really the greatest recipe when it comes to running backs. So are you concerned like me? Are you excited to see him like I am as well? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as any other guys you'd like to see us cover. Appreciate y'all very much for watching. While down there, hit that like button, hit that sub button. Have a great rest of your day. Take care, everybody.